All right. Hi there. It's Jody, and we are on the line with the lead singer and keyboardist from one of my favorite bands of all time. They have sold over 54 million records. It's Lawrence Gowan from Styx. Hi, Lawrence.
Hello, Jody. How are you today?
I am very good. Yourself?
Fabulous as always. Looking forward to seeing you in Florida in a few weeks.
Yeah, we're looking forward to seeing you too. And I want to say, I feel like we're getting to be friends already because it was earlier this year. You and I spoke, you guys were down here in Pompano.
Yeah,
But now you're getting ready to kick off this really big tour, the Windy
yeah,
Cities
yeah,
tour,
yep,
and that's with Chicago. That's really
yeah,
exciting.
yes,
So I know that both Styx and Chicago were both formed in Chicago
yeah,
about the same time. Chicago a little bit earlier, a few years earlier. You
yeah,
guys have never toured together before, so how did
yeah.
it come together this time?
Well, it's a very fortunate thing. I think basically both of us were looking for who have we not toured with, and who do we think it would make sense for us to tour with. And Chicago has been one of my favorite bands, since really since the live album at Carnegie Hall that they did way back when. That was my real first true introduction to them, other than hearing beginnings on the radio.
Right.
And it's something that we've kind of tapped our manager Charlie on the shoulder about a few times.
Yeah,
And finally, this is the time when the they're calling it the Windy Cities tour.
I
As
love it.
those two bands are finally together, and I can't wait to hear them. I think this is going to be a great uh, coupling, because we're both bands that did quite a bit of exploration in the 70s, prior to my joining Styx. There was quite a bit of
Sure.
progressive type exploration. There's more, and I guess I'll say basically kind of a jazzy influence thing, but which was very much
Right.
uh, due to their musical
Well, you guys
sensibility.
do have two different styles.
Yeah, I'd say Styx is probably more in some ways classical music influenced, in that genre of progression that rock went through in the 70s, and Chicago. So very very kind of experimental bands for their time, but now have become such an ingrained part of the lexicon of what classic rock could do.
Right.
In the last half of the 20th century, and why it has withstood the test of time, and why these bands are still touring and drawing thousands of people night after
Sure.
night. It seems insatiable, the demand for us to play.
I'm a big fan of Chicago too. I mean, really, when you think about it, who isn't a fan of Chicago? You know, I
I've
mean,
yet to meet
they,
one. I've, I've
I know
yet to meet that
they,
individual.
they've
Yeah,
had so many hits and
yeah.
and the music of our life. And since we are talking about Chicago, I do have to mention the passing of one of their co-founding members this week. Um, that was Walt Parazaider.
Walter Parazaider was the sax player.
Yeah.
I saw him perform with Chicago, I think, no, at least four times, maybe five, in Toronto, where I grew up, which is another Great Lake city, where I migrated from, I guess.
Yeah.
And Walter Parazaider was such a tremendous, not just sax player. He was a really great presence on stage. Part of the Lee Loughnane and James Banco and
Yeah.
Parazaider, that trio. He was such a cool part of that. I saw him when he and Terry Kath were both in the band. Like I say, I think four times
Hmm.
in total, when both of them were still part of Chicago and forming the sound of that band. So I'm very sorry to hear of him leaving the planet, but
Yeah.
his playing will be extremely well represented by the guys who are in Chicago today.
I have no doubt about that. So tell the fans what we could expect from Styx on this current run.
Well, these blockbuster, I'll call them that, summer tours,
Right.
really are. It's the hits and more hits. It's basically that for both bands. Our latest album, Circling from Above, will probably be able to squeeze one in from that. We
Okay.
might squeeze in one from Crash of the Crown. That album, got to number one on the Billboard Rock Album charts.
Yeah, your last two albums.
Yes, and people love that song. Tommy plays banjo on it, so it's a little bit of a departure from what you'll hear with Chicago.
I know, but I love that song too.
It's a great song. It's a Tommy Shaw song. He sings it. Tommy and Willie Vankovich, who produced it, and
Hmm.
yeah, so we'll probably squeeze that one in. But basically, you're going to hear Renegade and Mr. Roboto and Blue Collar Man and Come Sail Away and
Great.
Fooling Yourself and Grand Illusion and Crystal Ball. The lexicon of or the catalog of Styx hits, as JY is often quoted as saying, is so deep that it's an embarrassment of riches.
Yeah.
So there's 54 years of rock history that we could try to squeeze into 90 minutes on these tours.
Yeah, I look forward to it. And I want to ask you about this because you guys recently did Pieces of Eight tour in its
Yeah.
entirety in Vegas. That was your Vegas residency. So
Yes.
how was that? That must have been fun.
Fantastic. We in 2010 we did a tour where we played Grand Illusion and Pieces of Eight, those albums in their entirety, back to
Hmm.
back, with an intermission in between. With lots of iconic screen imagery. That went along with those Hypnosis covers. Those some
Right.
of the great, most iconic album covers ever would be those two records. This year, yeah, in Vegas we did Pieces of Eight, top to bottom.
That
We're
must have been great.
I think we're going to include at least one of those songs. JY wrote this great song that opens that album, called Great White Hope. We will
Yes.
probably include that in quite a few of the summer shows as well. It's just a great rock piece that's really represents his influence on the writing anyway,
Yeah.
in Styx. And so yeah, we're chock full of the good stuff.
Yeah, I'm sure that is going, I'm sure that was terrific. I remember seeing you guys on tour doing The Grand Illusion in its
Right.
entirety. This was at the Beacon Theater in New York, going back, well, good amount of years.
That's right. That's what we
Right?
did.
You
Yeah,
remember that?
I think 2010 was the year, Jody.
Yeah, thank
Yeah,
you. But yeah, I actually flew to New York specifically because I wanted to see that tour. Grand Illusion's my favorite album,
yeah,
and I figured what better place to see it than New York City at the Beacon
yeah.
Theater.
That was spectacular.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you a little bit about you because you are so much fun to watch on stage. You have so much energy. You have so much charisma. Very theatrical. So do you have a theatrical background at all?
Not really. I mean, okay, I've been in a few. I've appeared in a few movies over the years, so I
Oh,
guess
you
there's a
have?
bit of it. What's that?
I said you have?
Yeah, yeah. There's a few
Okay.
things. Usually horror. That's not. That could be a commentary on my performance, but
Oh boy.
yeah, they're horror films. I played the Grim Reaper, and I played an evil organist at a hockey game, and
Yeah?
a few other characters. Yeah, but no, I honestly theatrical rock, let's call it that, is really what I've
Okay.
been drawn to. Where rock is a bit larger than life on stage, so I would include performers like my favorite performers would be like Peter Gabriel and Freddie Mercury. Elton John was very flamboyant, obviously on
Yes.
stage. Um, David Bowie, and I'm
Those are all
inspired
the
by.
greats right there.
Well, even Little Richard, acts that really kind of throw themselves physically into the moment, and I've thrown myself physically into the moment enough that I've got plenty of physio rehab to do every single day
I
to get
bet.
myself ready. But then every night, it's you walk on stage and you're suddenly 15 years old again when you're playing these songs, and
Yeah.
so you can't help but you know try to do the things that perhaps a medical staff might advise you not to in real life.
Not to do, right? When we get to a certain age. Well,
Yeah.
you seem to be able to manage and balance like two careers at the same time. Like, obviously you've been with Styx, and I think a lot of people don't realize it. So I'm going to repeat it again. You've been with them for almost 30 years. Is that
Yeah,
correct?
27. I'm in my 27th year, so we'll call it
So,
nearly 30. Yes, sure.
yes. So I
Yeah.
want everyone to
Closer to 30, closer to
stop
30 than 20.
saying he's the new lead singer.
I don't mind. I don't mind the word "new" being attached to my name in any aspect whatsoever, Jody. So if people want to refer to me as the new singer, I'm happy to accept that.
I am sure that it doesn't bother you whatsoever, but
No.
sometimes it irks me a little bit, so I just correct people, that's all.
Well, I thank you for being irked. Okay.
Um, yeah, but you also tour, um,
As
on
myself,
your
yes.
own as yourself, Gowan,
Yes.
when
So,
you're not playing
mhm,
Styx gigs.
yes.
So how do
So,
you
so,
balance that?
well, my first 11 years in the band, I didn't even bother to try to balance it because I'd played for 14 years. I had a solo career that where my records were not released in the United States. That was the great kind of um, sadness of it for me was that although I was on CBS Records, the way the music industry was in the 80s and the 90s was there were four major labels and they divided up the world as to who heard what. And
Sure.
there were a lot of Canadian bands that it's amazing now. I'll go on YouTube and there's sometimes you'll see people going, "Hey, listen to all these bands we never heard of," and sometimes I'll pop up
Right.
in those things. So I had multi-platinum records in Canada for over 14 years prior to joining Styx. The guys in Styx would have heard my stuff when they came to Canada if they were playing Montreal or Toronto or wherever they were playing then, and they had probably well, I know that Tom had a bit of insight into it, but when we did a couple of shows together in 1997, that's where they really heard me in concert, and they
Okay.
heard an audience, singing all these songs that they weren't particularly familiar with, and I came into their orbit, so to speak,
Yeah.
and so you asked me how did I balance the two? Well,
Yeah.
starting in 2010, I began to. There were several venues that Styx play in Canada that I'd already played prior to joining the band, and promoters there said, "Would you come back and do a solo show again? You haven't done it." And on the 25th anniversary of my biggest record, which was called Strange Animal, I decided to
Uh-huh.
start doing them again. So Styx play roughly, Jody, about 100 shows a year, roughly, and I do
Yes.
roughly about 20 to 25 Gowan shows. And
Okay.
over the years, I've had, Todd Cirkerman's been our drummer on for probably the majority of those shows over the
So
years.
cool.
Yeah, and that's how he and Terry met. My brother Terry, who's now the bass player in Styx, they,
Yes.
because of my solo shows, they had become a rhythm section. Played probably over 200 shows together. And so
Oh,
when we needed a bass player, Todd
right.
immediately just said we should put Terry in the band, and so that's how that came about.
I
So that's
see.
how I try to balance it, and I love doing it. I love doing both.
Because I know that, I've said this for a long time. I feel, just as a fan, that Styx has to be one of the hardest working bands out there. I really do mean that. You guys are always working, you're always on tour,
Yeah, yeah.
and you're giving the fans what they want. They want to see, they want to come see the hits, and you're not making them wait years in between.
We don't have years in between to wait. there's, there's that would be a luxury that we once enjoyed a while ago. Honestly, it's funny whenever I hear the word work attached to
Yes.
this. The work is
Okay.
in the travel, quite honestly. I had quite a travel day yesterday. We all know the boring airport type stories, but the shows themselves are so rewarding in the aspect of you know, people that embrace music in their lives on a daily basis, they tend, to my observation, to live better lives. Their lives are enriched by it.
I
And
agree.
we are very much addicted to that, what happens, the exchange that happens musically on stage. We really can't get enough of it. I'm very, very fortunate to be in a band with guys that don't complain about the extra effort that it takes to get there and to make it happen. And luckily, everyone leans into it with great passion, quite honestly, to get it right and to live up to people's expectations and perhaps even exceed them on certain nights.
And you guys definitely do. So what you're saying is the work is really the travel involved, because
Yeah,
travel is not always easy.
no,
Everyone knows that. But once you get on stage, that's the fun part. That's not the work part, right?
correct. That's the payoff. The payoff starts from the moment we hit the stage. We feel like we're justifying our existence, our time on the planet in some ways. And honestly, it's such an uplifting experience every single night, even on the odd night when you don't feel like doing it.
Yes.
Suddenly, you're about 3, 4 songs into the show, and what is happening there? I still, I'll never be able to properly articulate it. Even Beethoven couldn't explain what music does to people, so why should I try?
Sure.
Uh, it just is such a it's such an uplifting part of life that
Yeah.
I can't imagine living without it for one day on the planet, even for one day. I mean, I've even had friends of mine whom I've lost over the years, but
Hmm.
when they were going through their last days, they were still listening to music. They were still hanging on
Yes.
to that because it was such a vital force in their life. And I've lived a life that where I can testify to that with complete conviction.
Yeah. Listen, for me, in a totally different way, I fell in love with music at an early age. Unfortunately, I wasn't blessed with any talent to sing or anything, but I decided I was going to do something that had to do with music in my
Yeah,
life,
great.
thus getting into radio. And I've been doing it the whole time because why? When people ask me, what made you get into radio? What prompted you to go into broadcasting? Music, the music. That's
Yeah,
what it's all about.
that's it. That's the magnet that pulls you to want to be involved in it in some ways. I mean, there are, back when I would be familiar with the guys at the record company, some of them, most of them were not musicians themselves, but they were just as drawn to it as connected to it as any musician I know. There's you don't have to play, although I would encourage it, and I'd say to you as I do say to many, if you haven't played an instrument yet or tried something like that, you can always do that. It's not like you're going to
Never too late.
go on the ice for the first time and try to play an NHL hockey game. You can learn music at any age.
Yeah, and that's very true. We have the World Cup going on, and I'm wondering if you're a soccer fan because here in America, this is pretty new to to a lot of us.
Yeah,
It's the most popular sport in the world
it
except this
is.
country. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes, I watched the Canada and Bosnia game. Of course, it ended in a tie. There's, I really shouldn't speak too much on that game. Although whenever I've been in England for a while, I do get very, uh, I get that kind of soccer fever, football fever, as they call it,
Yeah.
and I do get into it. However, here I'm such a hockey fan that it's difficult for me to kind of
Okay.
there are similarities, but I don't have the people that are into soccer are just as passionate. Well, they're incredibly passionate about it.
Sure.
Um, there, there are a few things that, if I were ever asked, I would be uh, bold enough to suggest a couple of changes that they make. But
Right.
we won't get into that right
We
now. I
don't
do
have to
love
get
watching soccer highlights, though. I love watching the highlights.
Yeah, I
Uh,
was just curious
Well, I'll
because
tell you, I watched that guy Messi the other day.
yeah,
I can see why he's so venerated. I mean, he only scored 2 goals and he actually got three.
yeah.
And but for that silly offside rule, oops, did I criticize it? Anyway, uh, so I love seeing. I mean, God, it's just fantastic to watch. Like it's fantastic to watch any athlete who can do such incredible things like that. So yeah, there you
Yeah,
go.
the
That's
reason
soccer done and dusted for me.
yeah, the only reason I asked is because
Yeah,
there's, it's all over the country right now, but we have a
yeah,
lot of the matches being played here
I
at Hard
know.
Rock
Yeah,
Stadium.
yeah,
So
that's
South
great.
Florida has turned into, World Cup mania at
Yeah,
the moment.
I get it. I'd love to go to a game. I was in Toronto. I didn't get to go to the game because I had other appointments that day. But I
Right.
did. I witnessed the fever. I witnessed it for sure.
Very cool.
Sitting in
Very
traffic for an extra hour.
yeah. All right,
Yeah.
so I got one more question for you. Music biopics, they seem to be the biggest thing these days. And I want to say, I feel like so many bands, artists, even not the biggest bands or artists in the world, like a Michael Jackson,
Mhm.
but even some less popular artists are getting into this biopic thing. Do you think that's something that Styx would ever consider doing a biopic about the band?
We've done. there were a couple of VH1 behind the musics that happened,
And I
but
remember that, and they were
yeah,
very popular.
they were extremely popular.
Yes.
And we've begun them a couple of times, but you know what gets in the way is that pesky 100 shows that we have to play a year.
Oh, that's right. That.
It's quite honestly, it's they even started one on myself as a solo artist last year, but I just couldn't be available for all their
Oh,
camera, and we just didn't want to haul around a camera crew all the time to do that. It's warranted, it certainly is, and you'd have to have the perspective from all sides as behind the
sure.
music tried
Of course.
tried to do. I mean, there've been in total over 54 years there have been a relatively low number of members of Styx for a band that's been around for well, over half a century now. But
Hmm.
every one of them have a story to tell about being part of this band.
Yes.
The ones that are still alive,
Right.
and it'd be great if they could interview the ones who are not. That would be fantastic. That would be a biopic to watch.
That
Um,
would. That would.
anyway,
I was just curious because I was just reading that that Michael Jackson biopic is now the biggest grossing music biopic of all time.
is it?
It has surpassed Queen's Bohemian Rhapsody.
No,
Yes.
wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. So
You see, it's
I
funny.
thought that was
I
incredible.
do enjoy those. I enjoy them. I particularly love the one on the Bee Gees. I just thought that was so well done.
I
Because
love the
that's
Bee
such
Gees. I don't think I've seen that one.
it's tremendous. It's
Yeah.
tremendous. And Barry Gibb, he's he's so poignant throughout it. About the story of that band. But my favorite biopic is now and always will be A Hard Day's Night.
Of course.
Yeah, as I was
Because
a little kid, I saw that and I was like, yeah, I want to live like those guys. They have
yeah,
fun every day, every minute of their lives.
right? Who
Hmm.
doesn't? Who
Yeah,
doesn't? And you got to love the fact that Sir Paul's still doing it, and so is Ringo,
and it's
right?
his birthday today. I don't know if
It
you're hearing
is.
this today. It's Paul McCartney's birthday today.
Sure is.
I think he's 26 now.
He is.
Yeah. Mhm.
He might as well be. We
Yeah.
are looking forward to seeing Styx again that date. You are kicking off the tour. So everyone here in South
Yes.
Florida could be the first people to see this Windy Cities tour. It
There's the
is
tour.
there
It
you go.
is the I Think Financial Amphitheater
That's right.
in
And it's
West
July.
Palm Beach,
That,
Florida.
that's
And
right. That's go ahead.
actually, looking at this today, Jody, I think I'm very Floridian looking at the moment because not only is
You
my
are.
jacket kind of peachy salmon, but it looks like my face is matching this color.
You kind of got that Don Johnson Miami Vice look going on a little
Oh,
bit.
thank you very much. Thank you very kindly for that. Obviously, do not adjust your sets.
Yeah, right.
Mm.
But tickets are available for the show, and I encourage Styx fans to come out and see it because you guys never disappoint. And again, you said it's going to be all the hits.
Oh yeah,
So, yeah.
Styx and Chicago. Wow, that's
And I
great.
can't even imagine how many hits between the two bands there are, but
You'll
too
have
many to probably perform in one night, that's for sure.
correct. Well over. It'll be well over 3 hours of music that is the soundtrack of so many people's lives. And younger people who've discovered classic rock are probably just as fervent about it, if not more so, because it's music that speaks to generations now.
It sure does. And I say that every Styx show I go to, you see multi-generations there,
Yeah.
you see 7-year-old kids
Yeah.
and 80-year-old people
Yes, you do.
and beyond.
And beyond.
Yeah.
Maybe even beyond.
So we are looking forward to seeing you. I thank you again for stopping by and talking to us. It's always great to chat with you.
Always fun to chat with you, Jody. All the best, and we'll see you somewhere up the road in
See
West
you
Palm
soon.
Beach very soon.
Send my best to JY. Will you do that for me?
I certainly will.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks.
All right.